quite exciting, honestly. Something that, might be a game changer for me. Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Ken and I'm on a journey to lose as much weight as I possibly can so I can become a fat guy no more. Well, I got a couple things I want to talk about today. A couple things that have been on my mind and something that could be quite exciting, honestly. Something that, might be a game changer for me. So I'll talk about that here in a moment, but I do want to say, first of all, thank you so much for everybody that comes by and watches these videos. I appreciate you so much. Thank you to all the subscribers that are here now, those that have been with me from day one. I appreciate it more than I can honestly say. Of course, if you haven't already hit that subscribe button, why don't you please do so? It's just right down below down there. And while you're down there, how about giving me a thumbs up and dropping a comment? Help out that algorithm. Thank you so much. So the first thing I want to talk about is that right there. See this book right here? A few of you noticed it sitting behind me in my last video. Yeah, this book right here. It is Dave Knapp's Decoding GLP-1, a guide for friends and family of those on the pen. Have you seen it yet? Have you got it? Have you read it? This book is absolutely awesome. Not a big book, which is good because I don't read a whole heck of a lot, right? I'm pretty slow when it comes to reading, but this book is packed full of amazing information. Let me say right off the top, this video is not sponsored in any way, shape, or form. I just love this book. This book is exactly what the GLP-1 community has been needing for quite a while now. According to Dave, his whole reason for this book was to give an opening for people that are on the pen to be able to talk to those family members, friends, loved ones, whomever, co-workers even, and explain to them exactly why they're on it and why it's so important. And that's what I love about this book. This book does just that. And not only that, it gives us more of an insight into Dave Knapp. If you don't know who Dave Knapp is, he is the guy that has the community, an amazing GLP-1 community called On the Pen. I'll leave some links in the description to his stuff, as well as a link to be able to buy this book on Amazon, because you're going to want to get it, and not just for you, but pick up some copies for friends as well. I've actually ordered a few more so I can hand them out to people at work. That's right, there's always people at work. Most people are very, I don't know, maybe you guys know this too, right? Maybe this is how it is in your experience, but most people that I talk to about being on this medication are very, very understanding. They get that people like me have struggled all my life to lose weight and I needed something to help me do it. The weight I've gone down now, yeah, they get it. They totally understand. But then there are some of those that just will never, or maybe they just don't ever try to understand. Maybe it's just that they're set in their ways. Maybe it's because things have come to them so easy all their life. It's typically those people that are so thin that they don't even understand or know what it means to be overweight in any way, shape, or form, let alone to have the disease of obesity. But then I also find that there are some people at work that are overweight that either don't care, don't want to care, or that is just their defense mechanism to keep themselves from appearing like they care. So there's a couple people that I'm going to give these books to. I've actually left this one on my desk at work this past week, and several people have commented on it, asking me what it's about. So I've been able to talk about it, and I make no bones about it. I will freely preach the gospel of the book of GLP-1, especially this book of GLP-1, anytime anybody wants to listen. Absolutely, because I know what it's done for me and my life. I know how things have changed, how my wife and I can do so many more things, I don't know. Last week I got bored at home. I didn't want to sit here anymore. And that's so funny because before I started losing weight, I didn't want to leave the house. I absolutely didn't want to go anywhere. Well, now I'm to the point where I just don't want to sit here at the house. I just get so amped up. I have to go and do something. I've got this pent up energy, and getting up on that treadmill just doesn't quite do it. I want to go out and see and do and experience and love life. And so last week I took a day and I actually went and walked Costco. Yeah, that just seems so crazy to me, but I went and walked around Costco for a while, and I think I mentioned that in the previous video. But these are the things that I can do now that I enjoy doing that I couldn't do before this medication. And I know those of you that have been here all along understand exactly what I'm saying because you've seen my transformation. You've seen me go from this to this. And so you know exactly what I'm talking about. But there are those that just don't, or maybe the case is they just don't care to know. Like I mentioned on a few people that I know at work, maybe it's simply the case that they use it as a defense mechanism. So I'm hoping that this book right here will help me break some ground with some of them. I see some people at work that it's none of my business, honestly, to talk to them about their weight or about how things are going, except for the fact that sometimes I wonder if that's exactly what they need, is somebody like me who's been there, who's done that, who can share with them my experience of this medication. Now, I know our insurance doesn't cover it, and I know it's tough to get if you don't have that insurance coverage, but maybe that's what they need. Being in the building this week, you know, I like to call them prison weeks, right? I have noticed a few things, and one of them was on Monday. I was sitting in the break room on lunch. I was actually reading through this, you know. I happened to look up and I spotted on a few different occasions somebody walking by that caught my attention. And the reason it caught my attention is, and I could be wrong, who knows, but I believe they're bigger than I am now, which means if that is accurate, I am no longer the biggest person weight-wise at my office. And that is shocking to me because for the past several years, not only at this current location, but my old one, I always was. There was always that stigma of being the big guy, right? Everybody always knew who I was because, oh yeah, he's the fat one, you know, the really big guy. And now, that's not the case. And I've talked to my wife about it, and she's pretty certain I'm right too. And that actually kind of hit me very emotionally. I mean, I had tears in my eyes thinking about it, that I've come so far that that's another one of those steps that I've been able to surpass, and that is to no longer be the biggest guy in the room. You know, we went out to eat the other night, and I'm used to being the biggest guy whenever we go out somewhere, and that's not a good thing, and I understand that, but that's a fact of life, and now I'm not. There was at least 2 other people in that restaurant that night that were definitely bigger than me, and again, I'm not judging them in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying for me to have lost that much weight now, to no longer be the biggest person in the room, it's just another great non-scale victory in my opinion. And I really wish that everybody had access to these medications to where they could lose this weight too, if that's what they want. And I understand that everybody's got to be on their own journey. Everybody's got to be on their own timeline. This, for me, came around at the exact right moment. It's what I needed. If it had come around a few years earlier, could I say the same? I don't know. I would hope, but I don't know. When I was introduced to Mounjaro back at the end of August 2022, and I took that first shot September 2nd, 2022 at 9:15 a.m. sitting right here, right behind me. I was getting ready for work. I had just barely clocked in, and I decided just to go ahead and do it, which, by the way, was a horrible mistake because a few hours later, those side effects hit me like a Mack truck. But either way, that was the moment that I needed, evidently, to get me to where I am now, and I'm thankful for that. And once again, Dave's book, if you haven't got it, hopefully you can see that good, go pick this up. There's a link in the description. Several things that I really like about his book here is that he talks about, you know, from the get-go, he gives us a little bit more about his story, his journey to where he is now, and why he's jumped into the GLP-1 so much. He is, if you don't know that already, On the Pen is the #1 news source to get your GLP news. Dave is always on top of it. He is absolutely amazing. So not only is he going through the journey himself, but he's helping people like us every single day to make sure that we get the appropriate information we need, and or we can share it with loved ones as well, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. And I think he even talks about that here in his book, right? So there is a lot of great things in this book that, couple of the ones, let me just hit a couple highlights here. How GLP-1 medications work, absolutely love that. Going back over their history, stuff that I didn't know, because the day it was delivered, I actually read it cover to cover. And again, it's a small book, right? But I'm a slow reader, and I read it straight through because it was great. I didn't put it down one bit. And the part where he talks about how the doctor found basically what is the precursor to the GLP-1 medications now was fascinating, absolutely fascinating. So he talks about the current landscape of GLP-1 medications, and one of the other things that I really like is he goes over the studies, the different studies that have been out, so you can actually see it right here all in one good source on the different results from those studies, right? So that's fantastic. Where is that other spot that I like? And I also do appreciate how he actually footnotes a lot of the studies and a lot of information for if we want to go ahead and read those as well, like he has. Otherwise, he makes it easy for us because he just gives us the Cliff's Notes versions, right? Here's a chapter called Overcoming Challenges and Misconceptions. Again, a fantastic read. Talks about shortages and the compounds. He talks about why being careful with compounds is so important. He talks about building this community and the future of medication. And then towards the back of it, he even has stories from people that are on the pen, different community members. And if you look really close, when you read this, you might even see my name listed there and a little bit about me. So that is not why I'm mentioning this book at all. Again, I'm not sponsored. I don't get any kind of kickback from this. But trust me, you're going to want to get this book so you can read it yourself and understand a little bit more, because knowledge is power, right? And it's really, really informative and not overly sciencey way. Dave puts it pretty straightforward, which is great. That's what he always does. But in this book especially, he puts it in such a great way for all of us to understand. So those that might not know what a GLP-1 is might just simply think it's the Hollywood types taking it to get into the next dress size. Dave does a great job in explaining it. So pick up a copy not only for yourself, but for your friends and family as well. You'll be glad you did. So the next thing I want to talk about is the breaking news from the FDA. Yeah, sure, it came out a few days ago, and this isn't a news channel. This isn't something where I try to scoop the news, right? At all. But that FDA breaking news stated that they have now officially green-lighted the use of Zepbound for sleep apnea. Yeah, if you've got sleep apnea and your insurance does not cover this medication, this might be what you've been needing. This could be the game changer for this guy. As you know, I've been paying full price out of pocket for most of my journey. I have had some help from some people. I make no bones about that, and I thank them greatly for that. But all the rest I've had to pay out of pocket, full price for. Now that I can take Zepbound, sure, I can get it for the $550, right, using the savings card, but that's still outrageous. But it is about half of what I was paying for Mounjaro at best. So that is an exciting thing too. And of course, I've talked about how we've made things work. So no more Uber Eats, no more DoorDash, none of those things. Don't get me wrong. I'm waiting for somebody to say, oh, just because you don't use Uber Eats doesn't mean you don't do any of them. Yeah, I don't do any of those. We only go out to eat maybe once a month now. The rest of the time I cook at home. And I believe that's a big reason why I've been able to lose so much weight. Now that does not in any way, shape, or form to me mean that I am missing out, because I am a firm believer. You've heard me say it before. I hate the expression YOLO, but YOLO. You only live once. So take, for instance, this weekend, we're going to be going up to Tulsa. You can bet that I'm probably going to go out while we're up there and have something to eat, but I'll be making smart choices of what I have, maybe, because, there's a vegan chicken cheesesteak at this place that I like to go called Mother Road Market. It's on Route 66. Oh my God. It is so good, but it is so full of salt. So we'll just have to see how things are going. And if I can make that decision, and if I can, I'm going to enjoy it because, again, YOLO, right? So while I cook at home, as I've been sharing with you from time to time, different things that I have, like say my peanut butter fudge, you betcha I enjoyed that. Gave most of it away, but I've enjoyed it. And there's still plenty out front that I can have, headed towards New Year's. And I have no problem having a piece or two, maybe even 3 or 4. I mean, they're pretty small, right? I cut them really small. But the fact that the FDA has approved this for sleep apnea is amazing for me, because I was first diagnosed with sleep apnea back in 2012. So 12 years ago, almost to the day, it was just a couple weeks ago, honestly, just before the end of the year here, that I had to go in and get my first sleep study done. If you've never had a sleep study done, yeah, well, I am proud of you, because don't. They suck. They hook you up to all these different wires, and then they tell you to go to sleep with cameras pointed right on you, all these things hooked up to you, and they think you can just go right to sleep, right? And then once you do, shortly after that, they wake you up and then tell you to go right back to sleep. And then they'll wake you up again and tell you to go back to sleep. It's annoying. I've had to have 2 of them done now, one back home in Washington and one of them down here in Oklahoma City. I think it was 2 years ago. This February was the last one I had done. And yeah, I just, I hope not to have another one. But I have a feeling that if my insurance does indeed start covering this, that I will have to go in to prove that I still have it after all this time. Now, of course, there's a few ways to look at this. With different medications, different insurances will make you jump through several hoops to be able to get it covered. I got to thinking about this one. What hoops are there to jump except for having that sleep apnea test done, right? A sleep study, as they call it. What else could there be? My wife thought, well, maybe they're going to make you be on the CPAP machine and see if that works for you before they'll actually approve it. And I guess that kind of makes sense. But it doesn't. It really doesn't when you think about it. Because a CPAP machine is not meant as a cure for sleep apnea. It is a Band-Aid, essentially, something that helps you live with it. It helps you breathe while you're sleeping, because if you don't know, sleep apnea effectively means that your airways actually close down while you're sleeping and you stop breathing. I think the last test I had done said that I stopped breathing 75 times in an hour on average without a CPAP machine. And with the CPAP machine, that dropped down to like 15 only. I mean, only 15 times you stop breathing, right? But that's an amazing difference by having that CPAP machine. If you have sleep apnea, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you fall asleep without that machine, man, you just wake up, you're groggy. I have massive headaches from it. And it makes sense. When you stop breathing, what are you doing? Well, you're not bringing in oxygen, right? So you're not getting it up to the old noggin up there, the brain. And that's not a good thing. And that's why I would have those amazingly horrible headaches. I remember back in the day before my first sleep study, I would wake up and literally sit on the side of the bed, just sitting there rocking, holding my head every single morning. And I never understood why. Well, then one night, my wife actually woke me up. She shook me. She's like, hey. I'm like, what? She's like, you're not breathing. And I'm like, of course I'm breathing. I'm sitting there talking to you. She's like, you were not breathing. And then she did it again a few nights later. And then that's what triggered me to go in and see about getting this test done for sleep apnea, because that's not good. And when I found out exactly what it is and what it does, it just all kind of clicked. I mean, it made sense. I was always tired, which then meant that I had to start slamming Coke and drinking coffee and all those things to try to get awake, to go to work. My head hurt all the time. I was in a fog continuously. And then I got that first sleep study done. And I remember the night that they finally hooked me up to the CPAP for the first time and let me sleep. I got the most incredible 2 hours of sleep ever. But I woke up feeling amazing, absolutely amazing. And that's the good part of having a CPAP machine. The worst part is it's like my own Darth Vader every night, right? When you put that thing on, it's like, Luke, I am your father, right? Because it's just pumping air right into you the whole time. Yeah, it's not fun to wear those. And to be able to try to sleep, rolling over, whatever. If you're on one, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It is not fun. So now that they've approved Zepbound for treatment, and, you know, the studies show that a high number of people are actually cured of it. They no longer have sleep apnea after using Zepbound. Now, of course, it's pretty obvious to us why that is. Anybody that's been following this journey, anybody who knows anything about weight loss and stuff, will know that it's because of the weight loss. It's not just the medication, just all of a sudden opening up your airways, right? It's the weight loss. So they do say, along with taking that shot to help with sleep apnea, that they suggest, you know, change in diet and a change in exercise, which, yeah, that makes sense. So even though I have lost almost 250 pounds as I record this video, I still have sleep apnea. Of course, I started way high in weight, where there's a lot of people at the weight I am. I was just talking to my wife about this the other day. At my current weight, I'm excited about being at this weight, right? 248 pounds. I am damn excited to be at this weight. And it's amazing to me just how many people, this is their high water mark, right? And so they're wanting to come down from it. So people who have sleep apnea at my weight, you know, may just be getting diagnosed with it, where I've had it for freaking years. And I'm not bragging about that. I hope it doesn't sound braggadocious. I'm just saying that this is something I've been dealing with for a long time. And to finally have something more than a mask pumping air into me that could potentially help me, I'm excited about that. Now, of course, the thought of that is too, if I've been taking this medication all this time and it hasn't helped me, what makes it think now, if the insurance covers it, that it would? Well, how do we know it hasn't been helping me? I would be very interested, even though I don't want to do another one of those damn sleep studies, I would be very interested to see what my numbers are now versus what it was almost 2 years ago. And especially to see what it was versus that very first time, to see if it actually has been helping. Because I got to believe it has. I really have to believe it has. But maybe not. I don't know. But the truth is that if I can continue on this medication, especially if the insurance will cover it, it will. It will definitely do it. As my weight continues to come down, it will definitely help. And I know that. We all know that. Because that's how it is typically with sleep apnea, is that most people have it, or maybe I shouldn't say most, but a high number of people have it because of their weight, because they struggle with obesity, right? And that's the reason why I've got it. I know, because the doctors have told me, it's your weight. Get your weight down and you'll be better. Of course, that always seems to be the answer for everything, right? Just get your weight down and you'll be fine, absolutely fine. Well, in this case, I think that's accurate, and that's why I am so hopeful that this medication will help with that, and it will be the game changer I've been looking for, that my insurance will cover it, and that I'll be able to finally start getting this medication at a much more cost-effective price. Then again, let's just be honest that I'm kind of expecting a comically ignorant response from my insurance as to the reason why they won't cover it, right? But I am hopeful. I am holding out hope. I don't know how long this will take. Of course, most formularies change at the first of the year, but this just came down. Watching Dave on the pen, he mentioned that he expected to see some changes within about 4 to 8 weeks. So we'll see. I've got enough medicine right now to get me through for a while. So, you know, as soon as I know, I'm going to jump all over that for sure. Because again, game changer. This could be not only for me, but maybe for you. So I would check with your insurance if you're in the same situation to see if this can help too, especially if you've never had any kind of insurance coverage for this like I haven't. So, all right, I just wanted to talk about that for a little bit because I do get excited quite easy about these things, even though my insurance has never given me a reason to be excited. I mean, like at all. I mean, period. I mean, even back in my Mounjaro days, back in the beginning, I've talked about it. They wouldn't even say no, that they wouldn't cover it. So I could use the Eli Lilly savings card at that time, you know, when you could get it for $25 a box. They wouldn't even do that. They wouldn't simply say, no, we won't cover this without that type 2 code on there. Of course, I'm not type 2 diabetic, so they wouldn't even reject it. They just left it hanging, as they said, awaiting more information. Well, that information never came because there was nothing I could give them, because the only thing I would be able to give them was a type 2 diabetic code, and we couldn't do that. So they left it hanging. So I was stuck at that point. So who knows what they'll do, but I am hopeful. I'm excited. I can't wait to see what they say. Hopefully that'll be the first great news in 2025. I'm looking forward to that. So, hey, I'm going to go ahead and close right here. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for listening. Thank you for always coming by and checking it out, and for supporting not only myself, but my channel. I greatly appreciate it. And go get you a copy of this book. Again, link is in the description. Take care. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to follow me on my journey to become a fat guy no more, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that bell so you can get notifications every time I upload a new video.